Hey GBA fans, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and after long last, after being held apart for so long, Greg and I have finally been able to reunite, and of course, he is here with me. How's it going, Greg?
Hey CJ, I'm so glad to be back. What's up GBA type people, Gregulator here. Hope you're having a fantastic day, simply fantastic. CJ, it's been like forever. I think literally Tom has been conspiring to keep us apart. That's the only logical explanation I have for all the viewers at home.
Hashtag Gregged.
GBA is
no, but big thanks to Turbo for helping us out the last 2 weeks, subbing for me once and subbing for Greg once. He did a fantastic job. Hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of him in the future. But without further ado, let's just quickly recap Week 6. And there weren't any, well, I guess there were a few upsets. Biggest one was the Bewares beating out the Sharpedos. Greg and myself were the ones who were able to forecast that. And other interesting thing here, good performances from a lot of the analysts. I want to commend the Confusion for making a couple of bold picks, but I regret to say that none of them panned out.
I don't regret it, because that just solidifies my lead. I had to return to Pick'em once I saw my skid. This is unacceptable on my behalf.
Yeah, you're starting to look mortal over there. You only have like a 92% win percentage now instead of like 98.
It's ridiculous. Like, I just need to step it up. But fans doing pretty well themselves, so kudos to you guys. Like, you're still in a solid second place, but alas, we're gonna have to really clamp down these last few weeks to make sure we can end the season strong with the Pick'em Crew champion.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Sock here, back with another week for the Discord Pick'ems. This week's, you guys have locked the Kansas City Jirachis over the Columbus Chew. You guys have picked the Borussia Donphan over the Detroit Steelwings, the San Francisco Giants over the Melbourne Rotoms, the San Diego Chimchargers over the Bronx Bearticks, the San Jose Sharpedos over the Florida Gators, the Milwaukee Bewares over the Victorian Shadow, the Philadelphia Scissors over the New Orleans Pelipers, and the Tampa Bay Luxrays over the Montreal Habsols. Those are this week's pick'ems.
So with that, we'll move on to week number 7. We are officially beyond the halfway point of the season, and to kick off the second half of GBA action, let's look at our first match, the Borussia Donphan versus the Detroit Steelwings. Why don't you take this one first, Greg?
Yeah, definitely. I've been really enjoying the way Lars has been playing this season. I think his team suits his style very well. It's very aggressive. Very nice pivots as well. He's going to need all of that to match Crimson's very offensive team. I think one of the main issues potentially for Lars could be that Lycanroc that Crimson has. I think, being a very good rock resist, he's going to really rely on mons like Cobalion to do some heavy pivoting to take care of Lycanroc. And even then, like Drill Run hurts a ton. I think Lars has the advantage. I think he has a bit more momentum going for him. I know Crimson is in a lot of leagues himself. So I think if Lars can rely on like ways to lure the Cobalion potentially with like Lurantis, or just even through natural offensive pressure, like Cobalion doesn't do a lot to ones like Tapu Fini. What Lars doesn't have though is a really strong poison type. Actually, Garbodor could come. Now that speaking, we're talking about poison. Garbodor is a pretty natural, nice check to Crimson. I think spikes are really going to hurt Crimson's team, so I expect Garbodor to come and potentially put in some work. What do you think?
Yeah, Garbodor I've got my eye on because it's kind of like the best thing to deal with Mega Beedrill besides Cobalion, but as you mentioned, Cobalion is under a lot of pressure already, and it's not like B, it does get Drill Run to hit both of those mons. Mega B in general just looks really nice here because it does outspeed all of Lars's team, and it's got like pretty perfect coverage if you add Drill Run and Knock Off. And in general, like the matchup, there are some things in Chase's favor just because his team is so offensive, it naturally deals a little bit better with stuff like Kyurem and Crocodile and things like that. But it just, for me, it's tough to pick Chase just because of the record that he currently has. Like, obviously he's done pretty cool things with his team. Thundy Eye has been nice all season, but this is Lars's match for me. Let's change up the pace and go to another match where it's a clean sweep in favor of one team. We've got the Kansas City Jirachis, coached by Toka Minority's Jolt, going up against the Columbus Chew, coached by Coach Z. And this is an interesting matchup because you look at some of the biggest threats on the Chew side, like Drill. Drill is hard checked by Celesteela. Celesteela is probably the best check to Drill in the game. And just the way that Jolt's draft is built, I think it's very well equipped to deal with something like Manaphy. Manaphy just can't run enough coverage to make a Tail Glow set effective. I will say that Mega Guard from the Chew looks really scary, just because if you give it Thunderbolt coverage, it hits pretty much everything on Jolt's team, and he only has things like Persian, Durant, and Aerodactyl to outspeed it. But Jolt's good enough to know that he has to play around that. I'm sure he'll have some sort of creative sets for dealing with Guard, and I can't pick against him. He's the #1 team. That's pretty much it.
Exactly. And still, we don't know who the ult belongs to of Coach Z, but we do know that Jolt is the real deal here in the GBA. I think when you look on paper, Mega Gardevoir is such an issue for a team like Jolt. Thunderbolt for Celesteela is a main thing that, especially when Coach Z potentially has to rely on Excadrill to do a lot. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Jolt approaches handling Mega Gardevoir, because Mega Guard traditionally handles defensive teams very, very well. And Jolt's team is built on a backbone like that. It just appreciates all that defensive support. So I could definitely see mons like potentially Aerodactyl, the Arcanine, especially defensive Arcanine, potentially put in work. And yeah, all the matchup on paper makes you want to pick Coach Z, regardless of Celesteela being an issue for the the Mega Gardevoir and the Excadrill. But those two mons potentially can break that Celesteela for Coach Z. However, until I can be proven otherwise, I'm gonna figure out that Jolt will have something either Wakan Celesteela or potential weakness policy Autotomize to take advantage of that. Because even with the weakness policy, if you look at +2 Celesteela with potential Beast Boost, if Porygon 2 can get weakened so much, a bit, along with the Manaphy as well, Celesteela has a very good matchup, and I think if Jolt can find the right set, and knowing Jolt, he probably will.
Yeah, definitely. He's proved several times this season that he can bring something that's just cheeky enough to work. So let's move on to another match here. This one is going to be between the Melbourne Rotoms, coached by Cybertron, and the San Francisco Giants, coached by Gym Leader Geo. And why don't you break down this match for us, Greg?
Like I said, any match that involves Cybertron, you have to look at what is the primary water resist. And what does Geo have on his team? Two things. Shaman, Toxapex. Those are really fantastic traditional rain checks. Along with Pokemon potential Mimikyu that can help take advantage of maybe a -2 Kingdra's Draco Meteor. Actually, Toxapex can chew Draco Meteor, by the way. I really like what Geo has on paper for Cybertron. I think one of the main... Oh, and Shaman, by the way, is a really decent check to Mega Swampert. I think even Power Up Punch, Ice Punch isn't going to do a whole lot to that Shaman. But the thing to note is Shaman Synthesis does get neutered in the rain. And mons like Pelipper can potentially take advantage of that. So it'll be interesting to see what Cybertron can do in a bad matchup. And I consider Geo's matchup to be very good because of his hard rain checks that he has and possesses. So also Haxorus's Mold Breaker, very good against the Mimikyu. I think if Cybertron's going to have a chance to win this game, it's going to have to rely on the Kartana. I think Kartana can be a big threat to Geo's team. Just knock off Sword Dance variant. Could really run through Geo's team if it's speed boost. I don't know if that could potentially cross Aaron's mind, but that'll be something to look out for. What do you think, CJ?
So at least compared to last week, at least this is better for Aaron. Going up against that Raichu is just really tough. Looking at Geo's electric type being a Rotom fan, it's much less threatening. So that's a favor in favor of Aaron. Mega Swampert, like you said, it is sort of checked by Shaman, but Shaman can be worn down due to the synthesis not being as effective, which is what you mentioned. One thing that could be really cheeky is, not cheeky, one thing that could be effective is Quiver Dance Rabombi, just because +1 does outspeed a Modest Kingdra in the rain, and the combination of Energy Ball, Bug Buzz, and Moonblast is pretty good versus Aaron's team, so that might be one thing I'd check out for. I mean, Aaron's team isn't really the sort of team that allows for a lot of setup, I suppose, but you never know. He could find an opportunity.
Well, like we mentioned,
I think
Specs Kingdra potentially can give Rabombi that opportunity. And we know that Aaron's fairy resist is just the Kartana, and Kartana dies to Moonblast.
Yeah, it dies. Yeah, yeah. And if not Moonblast, there's always Bug Buzz.
I would click Moonblast just to flex. You have to.
Yeah, I would too. That's a fair point. So yeah, we'll have to see. I'm leaning Geo, because like you mentioned, the matchup is still pretty good. All right, let's move up to our next game. This one I think is pretty highly anticipated. This is between PokeAim MD's Bronze Beartix and the San Diego Chimchargers, coached by Lord MV. And yeah, these two buds are going to be duking it out. And there's a lot of offense on both sides here that I think is really cool. I'm wondering if we're going to see Linoon make an appearance out of Joey, just because Belly Drum with ground coverage for the Empoleon looks really nice. I think just Gligar would need to get weakened in order for that to work. Empoleon, like, it's going to be an important mon, not for the reasons that Envy loves to talk about with Stealth Rocks and Defog and stuff, but because it's just got a good typing for dealing with the substitute sweepers that Joey likes. Like, it can fairly well check the Gyarados and the Necrozma and roar them out. But the thing that he's going to have to be careful about is like Magnezone trapping the Empoleon to prevent all of that phasing and to prevent defog and things like that. On MV's side, you look at something like Coco with just like a pretty standard moveset, Volt Switch, Grass Knot, HP Ground, and like Brave Bird for taking on a Whimsicott. And I think that could really put in work. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this one goes. I'm leaning it in favor of MV just because he's sort of shown us more this season, but I'm really hyped for this.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with you. I really like MV's matchup on paper. I think it was definitely very nice of Joey to pick up the Magnezone. I feel like it fits this team a lot more than the Stack Attacker, and it kind of resolves a lot of the issues Joey had with people just slapping on like easy fighting coverage and easy ground coverage like against him, which is really nice. However, I think still the primary issue with Joey's team is it's not very naturally fast. So two mons on MV's side of the field that I really just stand out to me include Hoopa Unbound and Kyurem. Those mons have two things going for them. They're incredibly powerful, and you need to have a powerful Pokemon to break through some of Joey's naturally fat, bulky offensive Pokemon. But the main issue, though, is that they outspeed the majority of Joey's team. Look at Kyurem. It speed ties with Zygarde, and Zygarde doesn't run Dragon-type moves, and it's not a Z-Crystal user, so Ice Beam is naturally free against Joey. You look at some of his Ice Resists include, like, Salazzle. That doesn't really that doesn't really switch into Kyurem. Necrozma as well, and the Magnezone as well, but, you know, Earth Power is very good still for that Magnezone, and even the Rhydon potentially, like, I don't know, you don't have to really predict Joey's team just because of the type like weaknesses that are common and are prevalent throughout his composition. But yeah, Kyurem's a big issue. Hoopa Unbound especially, because if you look at the things that are faster than Hoopa, there are only a few things. Mega Gyarados, which has to be max speed by the way, if MV wants to play the base 80 max speed, and he totally could, it's not a big issue. The dark resists on Joey's team are like Whimsicott, that's not a real resist. It comes in one time, guarantee, and that's it. And yeah, so I think you're gonna have to really rely on a Selgor, which is weak to Pinsir, and I don't know, I feel like Envy's got a really nice matchup, and the big threats that Joey has are like Mega Gyarados. Amoonguss just checks those things, and you know, we could see like 1,000 Wave Zygarde to like handle that Amoonguss, but like even then, like Zygarde's still like your other best response on your team to win this game. So I don't know, I feel like Envy's got a natural matchup advantage, and I haven't seen Joey really overcome matchup advantages this season, so I'm gonna go with Envy. And he's my lock for the week. My first time locking Lord Envy himself, by the way.
All right, MV, take notice. Greg is gracing you with his good work, so don't screw it up.
Not that he needs it.
Yeah. All right, so halfway through this week's picks, let's look at game number 5. This is the San Jose Sharpedos and the Florida Gators. Now, in terms of the matchup in this game, there's some good offensive mons on Tom's side. Swellow with Heat Wave and HP Ground is looking really fierce. In terms of defense, I think Scissor's actually really good because it's able to check things like Superior really well. It's able to check Crobat reasonably well, and other things like that. The only thing that's nice for Scizor on Gator's team is Heatran, But he's got all sorts of things for dealing with Heatran, like Lando, Rotom, even Como-O to an extent. On Gator's side, having Mamoswine is so great for potential setup sets from Lando and Como-O. You know, we saw the Como-O sweep versus Mono a few weeks ago, and that was pretty impressive. Other mons that I might keep my eye out for is like a bulky Altaria with just Fairy plus Fire coverage. It seems a little bit tough for Tom to deal with that. He could run like a kind of cute bulky agility set or something like that, but you know, that's just sort of spitballing. In the end, I think Gator is got the matchup advantage. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I really want to touch upon the Mamoswine Mega Altaria like you mentioned. First of all, Gator, Mamoswine Connoisseur, Take Note Power Rankings crew. I know you haven't been showing my boy Gator some respect, so you need to like step it up, okay? Otherwise, we'll find people to replace. Just calling people out. Oh gosh, for the mean comments by Regulator. But yeah, some of the issues that Tom has really decent like Mamoswine checks. Like, don't get me wrong, Rotom Wash is one of them. It's a premier Mamo check. We've seen it time and time again over the years, and Alomomola as well. Very difficult for Mamoswine to break that without like Life Orb Freeze Dry, although that covers both of those things. But rather than worry about being able to kill those two mons with the Mamoswine, Gator has Mega Altaria, which deals very, very comfortably with Tom's team. Like you mentioned, the two things that Tom really has to deal with Mega Alt include that Scizor, and like, yeah, I don't think that anything else really counts. Like Cryogonal, that dies to return. Maybe Hyper Voice could potentially be a thing, but he's really gonna have to rely on the Scizor. And like, you know, what is the main Scizor check? Heatran. That's what Gator has. So, and also, you know, he has like other things that could be very good against Scizor, like Buzzwole. Buzzwole's very good naturally against those things. So I feel like if Gator can get up spikes with Klefki, Tom's really gonna have to commit to like defogging. I feel if Gator plays that slow grind game that we've seen Gator do. Gator's very good at keeping the end game in sight and finding, like recognizing his win conditions early and committing to them. So I feel like if Gator can do that with spikes plus Altaria, then I think Mamoswine can late game, you know, clean things up. And usually I don't talk about Mamoswine being like a late game Pokemon, but you have to respect Lando T's ability to Rock Polish plus Z move. I think that's a set that a lot of teams need to be prepared for, and Gator's best response to that is the Mamoswine. So that means that Gator's gonna have to keep Mamoswine in his head for the late game, so he can't just be thrown out recklessly and die. And I think Gator's the type of coach to not let that happen. So I like Gator, and he'll move up in the power rankings this week with the victory over Tom.
All right, this sounds pretty good. I'm right there with you. So let's look at our next matchup. This is between Necro Stevo's Victorian Shadows and Wolfie Glick's Milwaukee Bewares. Why don't you kick off the discussion on this one?
First things first, round one Reuniclus is going to have a very difficult time because because of Tyranitar. Hey, CJ, I told you I've done round one Reuniclus. It works. And we've seen flashes of Wolfie, you know, doing well this season. And yeah, I really like Wolfie's team. I guess it's really weird, right? Because like he has mons like Mega Alakazam that can trace and like outspeed and do a whole bunch of weird things to like Wolfie's really fat team. Like if you give Mega Alakazam the ability to go modest with a lot of HP, it takes hits really, really well. So like Calm Mind Recover, like Psychic and Focus Blast or Dazzling Gleam even destroys things. Necro might want to respect the fact that Xurkitree can potentially outspeed, but like with the Choice Scarf, you know, like obviously not like just naturally fast Xurkitree. That's not a set. I mean, it is a set, but it's not like no one's gonna think that in their mind. But I think Necro's gonna have a really hard time with that Tyranitar round because, you know, mons like Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr's very, very strong actually in this matchup. Like a Sheer Force Life Orb set could really put in a ton of work. Naturally keeps Diggersby in check, keeps the Lycanroc in check. Metagross doesn't want to switch in. Togekiss doesn't want to take a Poison Jab or a Stone Edge. So I think it's really going to come down to how Wolf plays Conkeldurr and relies on his defensive pivots. I really think that Reuniclus, even though it doesn't have the greatest matchup, like Trick Room is still very scary against Necro's team. So I like Wolfie in this matchup. What do you think, CJ?
I do like Wolfie in this matchup. I just gotta say it because everyone's been waiting for like an actual opportunity to say this. Diggersby though, Like, what is the response for Diggersby? I guess, like, Bronzong and Jellicent are soft checks, but obviously, Diggersby does get knockoff coverage.
How do you not mention the
I think,
Tangrowth?
like, yeah, well, that's true,
Okay,
but I mean, is, like, a
okay.
banded return really, like, does it really appreciate that?
No, but it's got Regenerator,
sure.
and if it's banned... Okay, so here's the thing. If Necro decides to bring a banded Diggersby, that's not going to work. Tangrowth comes in at least once every time. If he's locked in, if he chooses a ground type move, like say he's Earthquake, okay, the Tangrowth stays in. If it's Return, the Jellicent comes in. If it's U-turn, well then the Diggersby's not on the field anymore. And then what's the last move? Quick Attack. Life Orb is a lot scarier against Wolfie's team. But I think what he has going for him is that he has natural priority, like the Conkeldurr, Entei's Extreme Speed, Mega Absol Sucker Punch, potentially. All of those things do really, really well.
Yeah, I think those are the best checks for Diggersby, especially the Conk, like you mentioned. Like, Conk is just pretty difficult in general. Other interesting things are, like, the Zam at I do think it actually outspeeds a +1 circuitry if it's running max speed Timid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having visions of, like, of it tracing Beast Boost, and then, like, just getting special attack boosts and stuff.
I don't know. I don't think Wolfie's very aware of Trace. I think it's pretty common. So I don't think Scarf Circuitry is a good set, especially against
no, or even like he brought in week 1. He brought that Z-Sun set.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything like that's viable either.
I mean, it could be. It all depends on how much Necro respects a +1 circuitry, and if he decides that Mega Alakazam is the best way to deal with it. But, you know, a Solo Rock from Lycanroc, Quick Attack from Diggersby, Hawlucha under... There's no terrain. Oh my god. What was it? Wakanberry Hawlucha? Hello? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, nice. That's pretty heat.
I've not that washed up.
Yeah. All in all, I'm going in favor of Wolfie.
Yeah, I am as well.
All right, let's look at our next match. This is between Pokemon's New Orleans Pelipper's and Chimpac's Philadelphia Scizors. I have a few notes on this.
Chimpact upsets.
Really? Tell me more.
Can you guess?
No, he hasn't brought the camel yet.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, just looking at Chimp's team, just like Cresselia is looking really fat versus Chimpac's team. Like, I don't think a Calm Mindset's gonna work out necessarily. But like a Calm Mind, Subtoxic could be potentially annoying. Like, I guess Nihilego can't get poisoned, but obviously Psychic Coverage takes care of that. And then that leaves you kind of just with Ferrothorn. So maybe you run Hidden Power or something for that. Other things that are nice for John, he's got really great stops to things like Nihilego, just with the Escavalier, the Garchomp, and things like that. On Chimp's side, there's not as much that I like. It's nice that Diancie is forced to choose between HP Fire and HP Water for dealing with either Camel or Ferrothorn.
I don't think it needs that.
Yeah, I mean, like, even just like what do you call it? Power Gem does decently well versus Camel. That's just one thing I noticed. And then Zydog looks fairly good. You know, it is outsped by a few members of John's team, but there's always Extreme Speed to help take care of that. And 1,000 Arrows is looking pretty nice besides Serena. I'm going to go in favor with Chimp on this. He's obviously done a little bit better this season than John up to this point. But yeah, tell me more about your gripe with Chimp.
Well, first of all, that Camerupt has a pretty nice matchup, as it does most weeks. Especially stopping Jolteon. I think that's going to be really important because Jolteon's a big threat against Chimp's offense. If you look at Zygarde 10%, the Greninja, the Nihilego to an extent. Yeah, I know it's a Nihilego, but Jolteon can just at least gain momentum on those Pokemon. And when you have like your fast offense that Chimp has, you really don't want to like secede momentum too easily. And I think Jolteon can do that for John. And I'm not a big Jolteon fan. I know the comment section are going to be like, Greg, you think Jolteon's really awful and it's a bad mon? And that's very true. Especially because Chimp has mons like Zygarde 10 and Mega Camerupt. But Chimp's not going to use the Camerupt, so why even bother like mentioning that? That it just completely hard stops Jolteon. And John's not going to bring HP Water, because why would he? The Camel's never shown up. Chimp refuses to bring it.
True.
I'm just really sick of not seeing a Camel on my screen, so I'm not going to really offer this match anything more. But what I do like what you mentioned though, like Diancie though has a really nice matchup because the rock resist specifically on Chimpak's team include the Ferrothorn, which HP fire plus entry hazard support. I think entry hazards are really nice versus Chimp. Although John doesn't really take advantage of that because he doesn't have like a true spiker. But still, mons like Hariyama come in for free relatively against the Ferrothorn, and I don't think Chimpak really wants to deal with the Hariyama. Like Hariyama just really goes in on mons like Scrafty, can take fire type moves from Victini, which we've seen a lot of recently. Granted, Psychic is a move, but no one really thinks about Psychic type moves when they just see Victini. They just click fire.
Yeah.
And John's fire resists include a Tentacruel, which is easily worn down, and a thick fat heart. Oh, well, he has a Garchomp. Okay, what am I thinking? But Garchomp has a big role in this matchup because if Victini wears down that Garchomp, Nil Lego late game could definitely put in a lot of work. So he has to be careful just throwing his Garchomp into that Victini. But overall, I'm just pissy because Chimp has brought the Camel, so I'm picking John. That's really it.
Yeah, yeah. Justice for Camel. Hashtag down in the comments.
Exactly. Justice for Camerupt.
Now let's go into our final game. This is going to be between the Tampa Bay Luxrays and the Montreal Habsols. Now, you'll see that pretty much all of our analysts are going in favor of Mono, but Greg, you're taking a bold stand here. And actually, upon inspection, I can understand why you're doing this here. Tell the gang a little bit about Aster's matchup.
I can definitely see why people are picking Mono. Mono's got the better record. Mono's been doing very well all season, bar the Tom game. However, upon inspection, if you just look at what Mono's team has, it's very, very good versus a lot of fatter teams. But when it's outsped and by mons that just have very spammable moves like Aster does, Mono relies on the Gliscor to check the Mega Lopunny. That dies to Ice Punch, by the way. The Palisand is not a fighting resist, as we've seen. Everyone knows Mega Lopunny does that. Comfey dies to Scolipede. If that Scolipede's not Mono Throat Chop, like if it's a real Scolipede set, like Scolipede can do very, very well, even if it just has Aqua Tail for a potential, a Gliscor. But Keldeo could kind of prove to be a nuisance for Aster. Aster doesn't have really the best Keldeo responses, bar the Gourgeist, and everyone knows what Gourgeist. If the Gourgeist does show up, it's kind of fodder for mons like Mega Charizard X, which I know Aster wants to avoid getting swept by. Even like Melodic, Barbarical actually could really be like a low-key sleeper in this type of matchup. I think if Aster can utilize his Pokemon the way they're supposed to, and I know that's like there's no like true way to use them in Draft League, but I feel like if Aster can take advantage and be opportunistic with his offensive threats, which I think he's only really shown versus Necro, then Aster can really pull off an upset this week, and I'm going to pick him because I have faith in Aster J. Although the last time I had faith in Aster J, he lost to Randy in the last week of the D-League, so I don't know. But
yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, if Aster, like, he had a good chance to have a good showing with the Scolipede, like, for example, versus Wolfie in that game. He had the late game Scolipede, but he had the Throat Chop, and he kept on going for Throat Chop. And like just couldn't, couldn't end up breaking through Wolfie. So like if he gets a good set on the Scully and the Lop, like you mentioned, it could be really good.
So the Echo Voice Keldeo. That's why he's got the Throat Chop.
Yeah, exactly. Like Comfy and Slowking, maybe their checks to Lop. I mean, they're not really physically defensive anyway.
Talk about the mons that lose to Scolipede.
Exactly. Yeah, those mons just both get murked by Scolipede. And like Mono, I think will have to do some creative things to deal with Lop and Scully, like maybe as like a Scarf Weavile to catch those mons off guard. Not that like that's the best set in the world, but sometimes you just got to do weird stuff in order to overcome matchup. Other important mons, Rotom Cut's extremely important because Melodic is like one of the most cancerous Pokemon in the game, and that's the only electric / grass coverage that he has on his team. And yeah, like I said, yeah, I can see why Aster could potentially pull an upset here with Lopunny plus Scolipede, but Aster is a lot more comfortable relying on fat stuff like Melodic, and if he does that, I think that just plays to Mono's strengths here. So I'm gonna go in favor of Mono, regrettably.
We'll see. One of us will have regrets next week. You guys gotta find out next week. CJ, it was really nice to be back with you. It's been way too long. Oh gosh.
Yeah, oh gosh, it's been a lot of fun. And make sure you guys, of course, if you did enjoy this video, drop a like, and make sure you sub to the GBA channel for all the latest and greatest analyst content. And while you're at it, make sure you check out all of our coaches, that way you can stay up to date on all of the weekly action. Greg, any final comments?
It's good to be back.
Yep, damn right. All right, this is going to be Greg and CJ signing off. Until the next time, we'll see you guys later.
Peace out.